Joining me right now to talk more about that is former Connecticut Senator, former Democratic Vice Presidential candidate, and the chairman of United Against Nuclear Iran. Joe Lieberman is here, and it's good to see you, Senator. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You know, I was talking to Senator Perdue earlier, and I asked him about whether or not this attack in Oman is related to the recent attack on Saudi tankers. And he said, look, more information is going to be released about that. It raised a red flag to me because it appears that maybe they are connected. What do you think?
Well, I think they probably are. We don't know enough yet to say, but on the previous attack, our government, through National Security Advisor John Bolton, said publicly that we had concluded that Iran-sponsored agents had carried out those attacks previously on the tanker. So you have to assume that they're the first suspect here, and they got reasons to do it because Iran was moving, the Islamic Republic of Iran, a government controlled by terrorists, for years has been moving aggressively throughout the Middle East, supporting terrorists, really controlling Syria, moving into Yemen, and the Trump administration, to their credit, turned it around. President broke out of the Iran nuclear agreement, squeezing Iran with sanctions economically. They're on the defensive, so this is one of the ways they can fight back, and this is why we got to hang tough right now.
So what do you do in terms of hanging tough? I mean, right now we know that the U.S. Navy is responding. They had gotten these distress calls. Does the U.S. need to get involved any further? Are we going to just keep seeing attacks on tankers?
Well, that's the danger here, and I think what we've got to do, and remember, these attacks occurred while Prime Minister Abe of Japan was in Tehran trying to cool it down, and the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, said to him yesterday, basically, forget it. We're not going to work with the United States. What do we have to do? I think the whole world has an interest in protecting those tankers in the Gulf of Oman, Straits of Hormuz. 1/3 of the oil in the world goes through there every day, every year. So we've got to up our security in the Gulf. We can't let Iran essentially try to hold us hostage. They're weak right now, and this is about one of the few things they can do, and we got to stand tall, tough against them.
And yet, you just mentioned the Ayatollah. He says Tehran does not want an atomic bomb, but that America could not do anything to stop Iran if it did.
Well, that's not true. But Iran, the U.S. doesn't want Iran to have an atomic bomb either, but the agreement that was negotiated 4 or 5 years ago doesn't stop them from having a nuclear weapon. It just puts the brakes on for a limited number of years. That's why the president was right to pull us out of that agreement. You know, Iran can move this forward in a peaceful way, in a better way for their own people, if they'll come back to the negotiating table with the United States, hard to believe, but possible, and negotiate an agreement by which they give up their nuclear weapons and stop supporting terrorists throughout the Middle East and the world.
Is that realistic?
It's going to be tough. And I tell you, the only way they will do it, the regime in Tehran, is if they really feel that the survival of their regime is at stake. They're hurting now economically, and there's a lot of unrest throughout Iran among the people. If the people rise up and create that kind of fear in the leadership at the top, maybe they'll come back and negotiate. Meantime, we have to remain strong. Generally, I've been positive about the president's foreign policy. I don't agree with some of the rhetoric which seems to say we got to pull back from the world, because that never serves our interest. But in fact, the president has not pulled back from the world. I mean, we're adding some troops in the Middle East, which is in our interest. We're talking about maybe adding some troops in Poland, which is a real strong message to the Russians to watch it. So overall, I think the president has returned us to a position of some strength. But I want to come back to the lead story of the day. In my opinion, with all the challenges against the U.S., instability, Russia, China, etc., the #1 threat to our security is Iran, because they are a terrorist state now. And President Trump has acted with real strength to get them on the defensive. Let's keep them there.
It's very important what you just said. #1 threat is Iran, as we talk about so many other issues. Senator, it's good to see you.
You too.
Thanks so much, Senator Joe Lieberman. We'll be right back.